Season 2 of Black Ops 6 rank play added a few new maps and weapons, but the recent update just removed those weapons as well as a few attachments off the Jackal PDW, making it so it's really not that good anymore. So for today, I have for you the new rank play meta so you guys can actually climb the ranks. They have completely gutted rank play. They took out the Cypher and the PPSH, which I'm happy about that, but now they have banned certain attachments to where the Jackal really isn't the meta SMG anymore. Time will tell if the pro players are still going to be rocking it, so we are going to be going over a couple of the new classes and things like that so you actually can compete now on the game. Now, the reason that they banned certain attachments on the Jackal, like the only barrel that we're allowed to use now is going to be the Gain Twist. We can't use a muzzle. That is because Call of Duty is not a competitive game, so the pro players will ban certain things, making the game more competitive. Rank play is supposed to be a direct representation of the CDL, so whatever's banned in the CDL will also be banned in rank play. This year, the AR players and a lot of just in general players are saying that the SMG players are a little bit too strong, that the Jackal is going to be the meta thing, that like sometimes you'll see 4 Jackals on the map. I think that's perfectly fine because the last few years the game was like AR dependent, and so it's nice to see the SMG players being so strong this year, but they all wanted to GA the barrel, making the gun take a little bit more shots at range. So up close it's still going to be really easy to use, but at range you're not going to be able to beam anyone like crazy because there's no barrel, there's no muzzle, and you can't run the long barrel, so you have to run the Gain Twist barrel. We can't do a muzzle. For the underbarrel, we have to do the vertical foregrip. Before, we would do the Ranger foregrip just because it gave you recoil control as well as allowing you to move around the map faster, but since there's a little bit more recoil on the gun now, you kind of have to do the vertical foregrip. For the rear grip, we are going to be adding the ergonomic grip to cut down on that slide to fire and that dive to fire delay, as well as making the weapon a little bit snappier. Then for the stock, we are going to be adding the balance stock, which is just going to give us a lot of strafe speed to hip fire, ADS speed, all sorts of types of strafe speed. You're going to be able to do that a little bit faster. I think the iron sights are great, especially if you get to like prestige 8 or 9 and get to level 50, you unlock that VMP variant, which you definitely need to do. It's kind of a play to win. It's just it's a very, very good blueprint. You don't need an optic on the gun. This is going to be the best Jackal class. If you guys want the best secondary, you guys don't have to run a optic on there. Just make sure you have the fast mag and the quick draw. Everything else on here is basically going to stay the same. Remember, frag grenades are very good. You can just cook them and make them blow up whenever you want, making it so the enemies don't really expect them. Flashbangs don't really use those, and then the trophy system always over the assault pack. Now, for the first gun on this list, this is going to be the brand new C9. The C9 is one of the best SMGs to be used at long range, and it really does compete with the Jackal. It's just the Jackal was a little bit easier to use, but now that the Jackal is more difficult to use, the C9 is probably what most players are going to be using. By the way, if you're not enjoying the camo grind or you just simply don't have time, check out my long-term sponsor Guapsi. They will legitimately play in your account to hard unlock literally anything that you want, and this goes for Warzone, zombies, and multiplayer. I've been working with them for a very long time, and I still haven't seen a single negative review. Since they don't use an unlock tool, they don't hack, they do it the right way, and so if you want to free up your time and energy, check out the top link of the description and visit guapsi.com. For the first attachment, we're actually not going to be adding a muzzle. This gun doesn't have that much vertical, but there is a lot of horizontal, which is one of the biggest downsides of the C9. It just is really hard to get those enemies off head glitches at long range. So to make that a little bit easier, we are going to be adding the recoil springs, which does increase your overall recoil control by 10%, then your horizontal and your vertical, making the gun a lot easier to use, and you're going to get a lot more value out of the recoil springs compared to using like the compensator or the ported. Now, the damage range isn't that good, or it is good on the weapon, but a lot of the SMGs just have a crazy damage fall off, so you're going to want to use the long barrel. The bolt velocity right now is going to be 550 milliseconds, so that is more than enough. Although if you are on a very bad connection, maybe your ping is like 40 plus, you might want to do the reinforced barrel. It's going to increase the bolt velocity, making everything register on the game a little bit better. Overall though, you're going to be seeing majority of players using the long barrel. Then for the underbarrel, we are going to be adding the vertical foregrip. You can get away with the Ranger most definitely, but you're going to be more consistent with the vertical, and that's one thing you want to be in rank play. You want to be very consistent on the map. The vertical foregrip is going to increase that horizontal recoil control by like 32%, making it so the gun doesn't bounce side to side, making it so easy to use at long range. Again, we are going to be adding the ergonomic grip, increasing that slide to fire and that dive to fire speed, as well as making the gun just a little bit snappier, and this is going to make it so it can compete with the Jackal up close. And then lastly, for the stock, this is where things get a little bit weird. So a lot of the pro players literally don't even know the stats of anything. They just go strictly off the field. They're using the balance stock, but I wouldn't be surprised if they start to use the infiltrator. With the balance stock, the only benefit that you're getting over the infiltrator stock is that you can walk a little bit faster, but you're not going to really be walking that much. When you are walking, you're usually up in your iron sights, so then you're actually strafing. which is when the infiltrator actually gives you a whole lot more than the balanced stock. And so I really am confident that the pro players are eventually going to start using the infiltrator stock. In Warzone, the C9 is meta and they all use the infiltrator stock. I've been a big advocate of the infiltrator stock. I think it makes the gun feel so much better. And so if you want to use exactly what the pros are using, you can use the balanced stock, but don't be surprised if it's going to be the infiltrator stock instead. If you guys do want a screenshot of my personal favorite class, there you guys go. And then you know, if you want the pro player one, there you guys go. Now I have hit iridescent before, and so I would say I'm pretty credible of like knowing what's good and what's not good on the game. We are going to go over an aims class real quick. There's a slight update to that one. Before that though, I just want to show you guys the compact. The compact actually is a very good SMG. It's the fastest killing SMG in the game. It just doesn't have that much range and it's a little bit difficult to use. And so if you're at like a medium range engagement and just basically the gun's not versatile, but if you're on bounty and you know you're going to get into some really close quarters engagements, pull out this compact class. I'm surprised it hasn't been GA'd yet. You will literally outgun every other gun in the game as long as you're like within like 10 meters. And so this thing is very, very good. And I think it actually is banned in competitive play. So I don't know why it's allowed in ranked play. Just use this exact build and you'll have a lot of fun. Since the gun bounces around a lot, you're going to want to use the compensator, just maximizing that gun kick control and the vertical recoil control. And then because there's a lot of horizontal, we are going to be using the vertical foregrip, increasing that horizontal recoil control by like 20%. And then we're going to go over to the fire mods and add the recoil springs. And so when you tie in the recoil springs, the vertical and the compensator, the gun is pretty easy to use and it's not difficult to get the enemies off the head glitches. The damage range and the bullet velocity is absolutely horrendous. When we have the long barrel, yes, it maximizes that damage range so you can use it at long range, but then the bullet velocity is so bad that a lot of your shots aren't going to register. You're going to have to lead your bullets after like 20 meters, which really is not that good. So I think the reinforce is going to be a little bit better. Yes, you get a little bit less damage range, but you don't have to really lead your shots. They're actually going to register on the target. So a little bit up to you guys, but I do recommend the reinforced barrel. And then again, use the ergonomic grip to cut down on a lot of those delays. If you are using gunfighter, then you can go over here and add the infiltrator stock again, or you could do the no stock, but you guys shouldn't really need to do that. You'll get a lot more value out of running like perk greed on this game. And then lastly, we're going to go over the aims build. The GPR isn't bad. It will kill faster than the aims, but you have to hit the headshots. And like, when are you consistently hitting the head? You want to, you know, be consistent on the game, which the aims is a little bit more consistent. I'm going to give you guys two different builds. So iron sights are horrible, so you're going to want to use the Kepler Microflex. Remember you can change the reticle on the gun. Also, if you do find this video helpful, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And my hair, just so it's not oily. I just literally took a shower like 5 minutes before this. For the muzzle, you're going to want to use the Porta Compensator. This is going to give you the best initial recoil control, and you usually kill the enemies pretty fast. And so you don't really need like a big, you don't need complete recoil control over 30 bullets. It's more important over like the first 10 bullets. For the barrel, we are going to be using the reinforced barrel. I've seen pro players use the long barrel. Up to you though. Havoc uses the reinforced. I personally like the reinforced, increasing the bullet velocity and that damage range is making it so you have a better hit scan potential. And then for the rear grip, we are going to be using the ergonomic grip. Since the TTK isn't that good, it's going to cut down on those delays. So if enemies do rush you or you rush them, you're actually going to be able to have a higher chance to win the gunfight. But if you notice yourself only sitting back at long range, you're going to want to use the quick draw grip. It's going to make it so if you see two targets, you can recenter on them pretty easily. And I haven't played all day, so my accuracy is really bad right now. And so a little bit up to you guys. Playing slow, use quick draw. If you're playing aggressive, smaller maps, use the ergonomic. And then I like the recoil springs on here because this gun doesn't bounce side to side at all, but there is a little bit of vertical. So the recoil springs are going to give you a nice balance of the recoil gun kick, the horizontal, and the vertical. While as if we take off the recoil springs, you are only going to get a benefit to your horizontal recoil control. So completely up to you guys. I've seen even people rock the Ranger foregrip if you want to move around a little bit faster. So maybe like small maps, use this one. If you just want a lot of horizontal, use that one. And then you could also try out those ones. So just, try out a few builds. Use the one that you like. Pro players use different things all the time. And even for like the Jackal, I'm pretty sure Cellium uses the infiltrator stock. And I've been saying that infiltrator since day one is amazing. Shout out to Exclusive Ace for the other graph. And so completely up to you guys. You guys can try out the infiltrator. There's pro players use different things, but I showed you guys everything that they use. I haven't ranked up on this account yet. I'm usually on a different account, but I hope you guys did enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe. Deuces.